Hello and welcome to today's tutorial. This topic we're going to be covering is professional liability. My name is Carly Rom. I'm the marketing representative for Griffin Underwriting Services. On today's agenda, I'll go over a brief introduction about Griffin Underwriting. We'll cover some information about this product, top classes, coverages, common exclusions. We'll touch just briefly on some vocabulary and then how to quote, just a little bit of other instructions. As with every tutorial, I'll end with a contact list should you have any questions or need help down the road. So Griffin Underwriting was founded in 1928. We still are family owned and operated by the Griffin family. We are one of the first surplus lines brokers in our region to be granted binding authority by Lloyd's of London, something we're very proud of. We have just over 100 employees throughout 3 different offices in the Pacific Northwest. We're offering solutions for professional lines, personal lines, commercial lines, transportation, and brokerage. We've written over $95 million in premium to date, and we are licensed in all 50 states, including Washington, D.C. This allows us to work with agents nationwide. So when we're talking about professional liability, this provides coverage for professionals for claims arising out of their professional services. Coverage is typically provided by standalone professional liability policies and also can include coverages for the defense costs associating with each claim. The industry has no standardized forms for this particular class of business. We here at Griffin, we pride ourselves on our knowledge base. Our brokers are very diligent in this particular realm, as with everything else, but they're very good at comparing multiple carriers to make sure that we're providing a quote for the best possible policy with the best terms, broadest coverage, but also providing the most competitive pricing. The breadth of professional liability policies is pretty large, but just for simplicity's sake, it's typically broken down into either E&O, errors and omissions, D&O, directors and officers, employment practice liability, and data breach or cyber liability. There is endless possibilities to have conversations with your insureds about the need for professional liability. Pretty much anyone who has a business, whether it be large or small, there's an exposure. Everybody is pretty much providing a fee-based service, and forms are typically customized by class. The U.S. economy is primarily service-based and growing. More than 75% of the U.S. workers are employed in the service sector, which basically means the exposure is huge. E&O coverage is often contractually required, it doesn't depend on what type of business you have. And the increasing litigiousness of the U.S. society is growing as with each year. When we're talking about E&O coverage, it typically covers claims for wrongful acts committed while providing professional services. This can include actual or alleged E&O, negligence, breach of duty, misleading statements, and any other claim relating to the rendering of professional services. We see a lot of agents contact us to get an E&O quote and a policy for architects and engineers, allied medical, and medical malpractice. We see these are pretty much our 3 top ones. We also see miscellaneous errors and omissions. Under miscellaneous, we'll see accountants, attorneys, real estate professionals, technology professionals, and additional professionals. That additional professional, I'll say consultants. We're seeing a lot of consultants in many different fields. We have some great products available for pretty much any kind of consultant out there. Here's a short list of some of the top classes that we see pretty often. This is not a comprehensive list. We write a whole bunch of different classes, but this is what we see pretty often. As I touched on earlier, architects and engineers, environmental consultants, website designers, property managers, software developers, business consultants, really pretty much any kind of consultant, if you will. The list goes on and on. So who's covered when we're talking about E&O coverage? Typically, it's the entity or organization. This may include a predecessor or acquired organization. And then we've got the covered persons. Those can be the owners, the employees. Many policies include volunteer employees as covered persons. Also, many others cover past, present, and future employees, including volunteers. Every policy defines coverage for the scope of the coverage, so it has to match the insured services. The damages or losses, so you're going to look to the policy form for that definition. Defense costs, this can be either included in the limit or outside the limit. Supplementary payments, consent to settle clause, so it's either there has to be the insured's consent to settle, or a hammer clause, which makes the insured liable for any additional damages or defense costs increased beyond the proposed settlement. And then any outside activities. Most policies do not cover activities outside of their employment or duties. Usually this is referred to as moonlighting activities. So an example would be, say you have an individual and they consult, I don't know, they're in architecture and they go to their job, they have an E&O policy as they're working their job, but their best friend down the street is wanting to build a brand new house, and so this friend draws up plans for his buddy totally as a favor. There's a flaw, results in a claim down the road. This insurer's policy would not cover that quote-unquote favor for their friend. Common exclusions for this particular policy. Typically they can be found in the main policy form as well as the list of endorsements. They vary by class, but typically you'll see criminal, fraudulent, and intentional acts, bodily injury and property damage, personal injury, libel and slander, return of fees, punitive, exemplary damages, non-monetary relief, risk covered by another type of insurance, claims for prior policy periods to other insureds or your known incidents, and then insured versus insured. Some of these can be endorsed back on. For instance, punitive and exemplary damages, they may be added back. Others can be covered through different policies like the BI and PD. Some are just excluded outright, like the insured versus insured. So you've got claim settlement. Basically, this is made on an occurrence base or claims made base. You've got prior acts coverage, extended reporting period, breach of contract, and standard of care. So the occurrence form, this is pretty rare for a professional policy. This typically pays covered claims as long as the policy is in force when the incident occurred. It does not matter if the policy is subsequently canceled or expired and the claim is later filed. On a claims made form, this is what you'll see very often for professional liability. This pays covered claims only if the policy is in force when the incident is reported. And if the claim occurred in a prior policy, the retroactive date would need to be prior to the occurrence of the claim. So you're looking typically at two different policies, and you're looking at that retroactive date. When we're talking about prior acts coverage, it's usually only provided when a claims made policy has been in force immediately prior to the current claims made policy on a basis consistent with the prior policy. Coverage is typically defined as full prior acts, covering acts occurring at any time prior to the current policy period, or is defined by a retroactive date. When a retroactive date is used, prior acts coverage is provided from the retroactive date to the current policy period. Extended reporting. This is also typically called tail coverage. It provides protection for a claim that is filed after a claims policy has expired, has been non-renewed, or has been canceled. Usually all the policies you can get 30 to 60 days with any policy. Tail coverage will give you, I think it's up to 120 days. You'll have to look at the policy though. This coverage is optional, but it's recommended when an organization is acquired or is going out of business, or the decision is made not to purchase insurance moving forward. It is form dependent. It can be unilateral or bilateral. It depends on the needs of the insured. When we're talking about breach of contract, this is the existence of oral or written contract between a claimant and the professional. There's professional breaches of contract. The claimant needs to suffer damages. and damages are not a result of the breach. So you'll most likely see this on an E&O claim. Standard of care. In all insurance policies, there is that measure, standard of care. How that's measured is through negligence. This is the existence of duty or obligation to conform to a standard of care. There's ordinary negligence, which is the reasonable person standard, so pretty much anybody's reasonable standard. Then there's the professional negligence. That professional must act within the same care as that of a reasonable member of the same profession. There's a causal connection between conduct and resulting in injury or damage, and then there is also a measure of what constitutes damages. So in order to get a quote for E&O, we do need the completed applications, which are available on our website. Certain classes do require special forms or supplemental applications. If you're not sure what those are, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We'll email you the exact applications that you need. We do need a full description of operations and their services. Detailing exactly what they do is very helpful. We need a current copy of the insured's resume, as well as a history and a list of their experience, a copy of their standard care or engagement letter, and any expiring declaration page showing their current limits and or retroactive dates. We can write these types of policies for entities that are new in business. Just let our underwriters know that they are new and there is no prior coverage that applies. If you have any questions or need help at all, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. For those Allstate agents, you can email us at csr@gogus.com or give us a call. For those non-Allstate agents or independent agents, you can email us at info@gogus.com or again, give us a call. My name is Carly. I'm also happy to help. I just want to thank you for taking the time to go through this tutorial. We want to say thank you again for working with us. We appreciate your business and we really look forward to working with you more in the future. Have a great day.